Life Lessons from the Crazy Dutch Farmer, the song, lesson number 6. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Persohn. You can contact me at pastor@mascot.church. That is my email address, or in the comments below. If you enjoy this video, like, share, and subscribe. Tell some others about it. There's a few more coming, and quite a number that we've already done. Well, this is a video again that talks about a wonderful life lesson learned from the crazy Dutch farmer. And this is good crazy. This is Farmer Harry. And my dad taught me how to think and how to grasp things and understand things and how to troubleshoot. And Harry taught me how to put a lot of those things into practice. Now, both my dad and Harry had many things in common, although they were very different men. I've got in hand here a lampstand that my dad made that he'd knock together kind of quickly. With this, it would go on the wall here, and then a lamp would hang below like that, and a cord would run up it, and it would power the lamp. And so he could read. It would just hang over his head. Now, I salvaged this. My brother and sister said I could take it at Dad's passing, and I've kept it with me, and I've looked at it many times. The reason I've looked at it is because of the quality of work that Dad did. These joins here are just really, really precise, and I haven't ever I've just cleaned this. I haven't sort of modified it or anything or painted it, because I've looked at this and thought, he spent a long time putting those things together. He obviously used a sharp saw, and not just a cheap and nasty one, and he spent time and he got it to where it looked just right. And Dad liked to do things to quality as well. That was really important. And I think both Dad and Harry influenced me to think that way. Harry, however, had a kind of a way of, how shall I say, well, really just making it settle deep in your soul that you had to do a thing right. He actually had a song, and I'm going to play a little bit of the song. The quality won't be very good, but in the comments below will be a YouTube link. You can find it, and you can actually play this. I'm playing it off the mighty YouTube as it is. I'll play it without any comments, and then I'll make a comment later. So hopefully this sounds okay. Here we go. Country music.
Couldn't move a mountain, nor pull down a big oak tree. But my daddy became a mighty big man with a simple philosophy. Do what you do well, boy. Do what you do well. Give your love and all your heart and do what you do well.
Do what you do well. So that was Ned Miller, but it's been recorded many times. Johnny Cash did it and a few others. That sort of old style country. Well, anything that Harry wanted done had to be done well. And even sweeping the floor. And this is where you really learn to do quality work. You know, you learn it in simple things. Even sweeping the workshop floor. If it was a bit of a budgy job or not well, it had to be done right. If you had to repair something, it had to be done well. If you worked in a field, it had to be done well. And there's a couple of very funny lessons to follow along after this one about all of that. Well, they're funny to me, but... and if something wasn't done well, so let's say I just messed up, didn't feed the cows properly or didn't park a tractor right. I don't remember what I wouldn't do right because most of the things I didn't do particularly well. But Harry had this way where he just continued working or doing what he'd do, and he'd sing that song or that chorus, do what you do well, boy, do what you do well. It would really get to me, but it was a valuable getting. It really got to the inside of my soul, and it really continued to enforce the fact that if a thing is worth doing, it is worth doing very well. It's worth doing right. Let me read to you the words of the verses that follow. So this was the first verse of that song. He couldn't move a mountain or pull down a big oak tree, but my daddy became a mighty big man with a simple philosophy. When you have good, simple philosophies in life, you can go a long way. Then the chorus, do what you do well, boy, do what you do well. Give your love and all your heart and do what you do well. Here's the next verse. I'll just read the last verses here. Now, sometimes he'd kiss my mama and hold her so tenderly, and he'd look across the top of her head, and then he'd wink and say to me, do what you do well. Next verse. Now, he was a man of laughter, but if tragedy came by, the tears ran free, and he'd say to me, never be afraid to cry. Do what you do well. Today I still remember, just like it was yesterday, about a mighty big man with a mighty big heart and a mighty few words to say. That is, do what you do well. By the way, I'm not a man of few words, just in case you didn't notice that. Okay, well, the scriptures talk a lot about this very thing as well. So let me pop on my glasses and grab a couple of passages from the Bible here, Proverbs chapter 12, just a couple of verses. Verse 24, the hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor. Wow. Yes, the hand of the diligent, while the slothful will be put to forced labor. And then further down in verse 27, whoever is slothful, that is lazy, will not roast his game, but the diligent will get precious wealth. Imagine that. Lazy guy won't roast his game. He's gone and he's hunted, but he's not going to be busy enough to do it. It's a very interesting passage. Now, one of my favorite passages about this topic comes from the book of Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes may have been written by Solomon. There's some discussion about that. What we do know in the book of Ecclesiastes is that it was written by someone who had lost his real intimate relationship with God. He was more concerned about the world. He saw the finality of death and so on. It's a bit of darkness in Ecclesiastes, but many, many amazingly bright sayings. It is inspired by God. So you can troll through it and learn a lot from the book of Ecclesiastes. One of my favorite chapters in Ecclesiastes is chapter 9. I've actually got a message from Ecclesiastes 9 on this video channel, Chiasms and More, which is called, It is Better to Be a Living Dog Than a Dead Lion. That's true, isn't it? Once a lion's dead, he's not worth much. At least the dog is alive. I'm going to read you a couple of excerpts from Ecclesiastes chapter 9. Back on with the glasses, and here we go. This is Ecclesiastes 9, and let's see. We'll go down where it starts talking about verse 4. He who is joined with all the living has hope, for a living dog is better than a dead lion. For the living know that they will die, but the dead know nothing, and they have no more reward, for the memory of them is forgotten. There you go. That's my verse again. But let's go down to verse 9 a little farther. We'll skip a few. And by the way, go to Ecclesiastes 9. It's a great chapter. Ecclesiastes 9:9. Enjoy life with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life that he has given you under the sun, because that is your portion in life, and in your toil at which you toil under the sun. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. For there is no work or thought or knowledge or wisdom in Sheol, that is the grave to which you are going. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. We're not going through a particularly easy time in our country at the moment. I don't know where you are when you watch this. And one of the things that people have at the moment is a lot more time on their hands, some than they had, not able to get out or whatever. So when you have something to do, engage yourself, do it with all your might. That's a great, great life lesson. I would have to say that this particular lesson is not one of those like the I hate lazy people lessons or one of those that just really slammed me, but it settled in my soul and took a long time to really mature. It was probably 10, 15 years after that I really began to appreciate the value of doing things, not just to get them done, but to do them well. I truly wish that I had that mentality when I was doing homework as a child, when I was studying. Oh, the things that I would have learned, the things that I would have done better. Now, as I'm approaching latter years, the things that I do, I work hard to do to a very high standard. Do what you do well. You've probably seen that. You've probably seen times when you've done one thing and say, oh, well, that's fair enough. But then you get a chance to do it a second time and you do it to a much higher standard and you can say, wow, that's just wonderful. I'm proud of that. Even to the place of how you dress yourself or what you do, there comes a certain amount of innate pride in doing quality work. You might have seen If you've not, you'll understand this. Maybe you get invited to a recital in your community, and there's people playing pianos or whatever at the recital, and someone plays quite a nice piece of music, and it's quite wonderful, and it's well played. You think, okay. And then a while later, you get invited to hear the same piece of music being played by a virtuoso, by someone who was gifted by God before they were born, with the ability to make the music feel and the ability to make it, just to communicate it well. And you listen to that and you say, wow, it's the same piece of music. Maybe even the acoustics are similar. But there was some quality that came from the diligent work that the second person had done. Obviously, maybe there's giftings and talent as well. I understand that. But you can see the difference between something done to suit and something done very, very well. Even sweeping the floor, dressing yourself, or whatever, learn to do those things well. Ask yourself whether or not it's worth doing it so badly that you have to do it a second or a third time just to get it right. There's always time, almost always time, I should say, to do it right the first time. Okay, so the song, Do What You Do Well, I'm going to pop the YouTube link in the description below so you can hear it at your leisure. Hey, if you like these videos, like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. We're going to do some new things on the channel going forward, or some other things. On this particular channel, coming up, there's going to be a couple of videos on Armageddon. That is where it comes from. We're going to start by looking at Megiddo, and that will be published in the next little while, probably the next video, and then we'll pause a little bit, then we'll come back and probably look at Armageddon. And that'll put a lot of you to ease, especially in these really unusual times. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Al Persohn. We have just looked at life lessons from the Crazy Dutch Farmer, lesson number 6, Do What You Do well.